this session and all of them should be dedicated to Rifah Shlema of our dear Rabbi Yaron Reuven Shlita. His name is Yaron Ben Doris. Also to Yehudis Bas Noach, Ariela Ora Bas Anna, Mimar Rachel Bas Branda, David Shlomo Ben Sandra. A quick release of Moshe Shmuel Ben Pnina. Beezrat Hashem. I think with our prayers help. We have good development. Baruch Hashem. Right, and also Atzlacha Rabba to Giveres Chana, Bas Avram Avinu, and the whole family. Beezrat Hashem. So we continue with our class, others people money, halachos of other people money, and I'll be on subsection B. I think it's the second chapter, subsection B, when Bal Tolin does not apply. Right? Bal Tolin meaning that a person is being paid late. And just quickly introduce the topics. Worker has not requested payment or agreed to wait. Right. Okay. Second is the employer known to pay late for whatever reason. Employer has no money, hired by intermediary. Okay. Right. And we on number 2, employer known to pay late. So is it good? No, it's not good, but meaning that it is expected, the way I understand. Okay, so let's see. Beezrat Hashem. If worker takes position with employer, has an unfortunate reputation, not paying on time, it is as if he has agreed beforehand accept the late payment. Therefore, there is no Bal Tolin. I mean, it does not make it right, but it does not excuse this employer because he has to pay on time. But at least, so I mean that he transgresses paying on time, but being late with the payment, he does not transgress. How? Because it goes by the person who expect. So meaning that if they hire a person and all of the people around they say, look, if you can wait from time to time 2 or 3 months, yeah, that's good. But otherwise, go find yourself another job. And I think that's like some kind of, I don't know, like a commission rate. Right. For example, I'm just giving an example. If somebody is working in real estate, so even though the broker the deal, right, something like to sell a house, let's say, yes, they're going to get the money, but when they're going to get the money, it could be 6 months later, 3 months. I don't know. It depends if it's a mortgage approval, pre-approval, this approval, that approval, right? I remember when people next door to me, like were selling their house, but people came from the bank, from this appraisal, that appraisal. They sell very expensive, probably. I know all these people came, all of the commissions, like from a city commission, like a bank commission, all of these things, like many times, all these things took them maybe 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, a lot, very long time. Right, so meaning these people, yeah, they, for example, somebody working for this broker, so it's like a broker with a license, and they have many assistants, right? They work for some commission. Yeah, they did the job, they found the customer, they trying to work with, but when they're going to get maybe, as I said, 6, 7 months later, right? So that's expectable. So meaning it's not late. So even though this person say as soon as you're going to you did the sale, maybe because sale is not finalized, maybe this and that. So meaning that they know they're not going to be paid right away. It's not like they sell like some merchandise. Okay, so that's good. Number 3, employer has no money. If the employer truly does not have money to pay the workers when the payment is due, there is no Bal Tolin. And not having money means that he does not have cash, funds available in a checking or saving account, funds that he can withdraw from automatic teller machine, ATM, etc. The employer is not obligated to sell his personal assets, for example, his automobile, furniture, valuables, or real estate, or in order to pay the workers on time. If the employer has only a large bill, it is considered as if he has money. He is required to trouble himself to change the large bill in order to pay the worker. I'm not sure what is a large bill. Okay. Maybe there is $1,000 bill. I don't know. If employer does not have enough money to pay the workers in full, but does have some cash in his possession, he must use whatever he has to make a partial payment. If he does not use all of the cash in his possession to make a partial payment, he will be violated Bal Tolin. Okay, so let's continue. The Poskim advise that if one can borrow the money without too much difficulty and without incurring an expense, for example, from a neighbor, he should do so in order to acquire a mitzvah and positive Torah commandment of paying workers on time. Okay, so let's try to understand what it says here. All right, so let's do from the beginning and many commentaries. Okay, so again, the employer has no money. If the employer truly does not have money to pay the workers when that payment is due. So commentaries say, okay, if it is important to know that if one knows that he will not have enough money to pay the worker at the time the wages will be due, it is not to permitted to hire him. So like very, very simple and straightforward. If you don't have money, so why you hire him? Or you, like I'm just adding from myself, or tell him in advance, look, I need the work to be done now, right? But I would be able to pay you only in 2 weeks. And some people say there is no problem, right? Anyway, I'm not working, so I better take this job and wait 2 weeks anyway. Or some people say, no, I don't want it. I need money right now. I need to close my rent. I need to pay my car insurance. All of these things. So I cannot wait 2 weeks. So, but we have to be honest. So right. So just cannot play with that. Okay. So meaning this worker need to know what to expect. Again, the whole sentence. If employer truly does not have money to pay the worker when the payment is due, there is no Bal Tolin. Okay, no Bal Tolin. So now we need to understand what is that he does not have money. Again, when we hire somebody, we have to have money to pay. If something happened, I don't know, something emergency, that's a different story. But otherwise, right, it's not right. For having money means that he does not have cash. Funds available in checking or saving account. So checking or saving account, even I think we can withdraw from checking, or you can go to ATM. So today many things had to go to ATM to do something. There are so many options that you can do today, like with this ATM. You simply, most of the cases, I think you're in the teller, like. Such as smart ATMs, right? Many options. In olden days, you can do deposit, you can see funds available, and you can do withdraw. And basically, I think that's it. Oh yeah, you can do transfer from one account to another if you have multiple. But that's it. Now, many other options, right? Just 1 second. So meaning no money, meaning not only cash in the pocket, but or in an envelope or something, but also not in a checking, not in a saving account. Okay. So meaning that he can go and withdraw. So that this ATM they work 24 hours, so he can withdraw basically anytime. So that the employer is not obligated to sell his personal assets. So meaning if there is no cash or cash equivalent, meaning in his accounts. So not obligated to sell his assets. Commentary. However, if he has marketable assets such as merchandise, which can be offered for immediate sale without incurring loss, he must do so to pay to repay. I'm not sure. Yeah, to pay the worker. Okay. Some letters are raised. Okay, no problem. So meaning, right? So if quick merchandise, something that people would buy, I'm not sure what was it. What would it be? Or maybe somebody wants his watch or something, right? I don't know, or a bicycle. I don't know, and he can sell it like he does not need it anyway, right? So maybe it's time now. It's time to sell, right? So for example, right, so he does not need to sell his personal assets, automobile, right, furniture, valuables, real estate. I mean, all of these things, I think in my mind, it has takes time. Automobile, right, unless he sells very cheap, or furniture. People like new furniture, or they like free, right? If you ask a little money, some people should, right, they like free. Valuables, okay. In order to pay the worker on time, right? So meaning, if you have anything on your checking, the saving account, you have to do. Sometimes I think even, I mean, it does not say here about stocks, but if somebody has a stock account, I think it's not a big deal to order the sale. Maybe meaning in one day they're going to sell. I'm not sure how the things work, but I think 1 or 2 days it should be enough. They can give you cash. They can figure out, for example, you have a stock portfolio and you said I need $500, $3,000. They can decide, the broker can decide what to sell, and that's it. Or some people have this automated trading. I'm not sure what it's called, but I saw it. Very interesting. Like, right, and a person who has this thing say that it's better than a human. So human, like when you see when the market goes down, like the stock is losing, most likely human would try to sell it as soon as possible. But this like artificial intelligence, no, it's like it has more patience, right? So this person said that first of all, there is no fee for this kind of account, and he's been gaining. I'm not sure how much, but gaining, no problem. Commentary. According to many poskim, the employer does not, if the employer does not have money, but has something of value that can give the worker to hold as a collateral, he should give the worker collateral to hold until he's able to pay him. As soon as he has the money, he must redeem the collateral for cash. That's very, very interesting. So again, according to some poskim, so if the employer does not have money, but has something of value that he can give the worker as a collateral. So some workers, they would be like poor people. They would be a constant worry how he's going to pay me. Maybe he said he does not have money. That's how it started. Yeah. And then he said that I'm fired and this and that, and there is no contract, and maybe he does not have to pay me. So meaning to show that you're honest, give him some collateral that he's my watch, he's my, I don't know, something, I don't know what of value. Cell phone probably not, but so some other things of value. So hold it for me, and this for this worker to have peace of mind, and then I'm going to buy it back from you. Not buy back, but I'm going to pay you back and redeem my thing. Right. Continue. If employer has only a large bill, it is considered if he has money. He's required to trouble himself to change the large bill in order to pay the worker. Maybe, I mean, somebody told me that it is $1,000 bill. I'm not sure it's true or not. Somebody told me in one of the classes. Okay. So, but even the $100 bill, right? $100 bill. So meaning you owe him only like $15, like in addition to the full salary at $15.17. But that's all you have, $100 bill, so you can go and change it. You have to. Okay. If the employer does not have enough money to pay the workers in full, but does have money in cash in possession, just to say, employer does not have enough money to pay the worker in full, but does have some cash in his possession, he must use whatever he has to make a partial payment So meaning to put his mind to ease, right? At least I don't have 500 that I owe you, so I'm going to give you 235. That's all I have. 37. You see, $2 more, 37. Okay, that's all I have. Okay, no problem. If he does not have all of the cash in his possession to make partial payment, if he does not use the partial payment, he will be violated Bal Tolin. So meaning right. So he said no. I need unless there's some other things that he needs the money to fill his car, to go back, or for his bus, for a subway or something. That's a little different story. But otherwise, whatever you have, pay him. The employer commentary. The employer must give whatever money he has to the worker, down to the last penny. Even if he has just enough money either to pay the worker or buy food for Shabbos, he must use the money to pay the worker. So meaning not to violate this melacha, this prohibition. Sorry, it's not melacha. This prohibition not to be late in payment. So meaning, right? So even just one second. Even if he has just money to pay the worker or buy food for Shabbos. Buy food for Shabbos. Right, okay. No problem. Right. So meaning pay. Continue. The poskim advise that if one can borrow the money without too much difficulty and without incurring an expense, for example, from his neighbor, he should do so to acquire in order to acquire the mitzvah. Right? Positive commandment of paying the worker on time, and we spoke about it where in Halachos Tzedakkim, where we're talking about tzedakah, right? The mitzvah of tzedakah, and it was this session about poor people, and I actually made a clip over it because it's beautiful, right? So, and a poor person sometimes is downtrodden, and a person, what can I do? I heard so much about tzedakah, it save a person from death, a lot of good things. But what can I do? I cannot give tzedakah. It's opposite. I receive tzedakah from others, and Halachos Tzedakkim said tzedakah is not always with money. Tzedakah is always also with kindness, with good deeds, and sometimes sometimes maybe you cannot give money away, but you can lend money somebody temporarily, right? And not only to a poor person, but even to rich person. A rich person, this kind of person, he has he must pay his employees, but he does not have cash. And guess what? You just pay your rent, and I don't know, you have a little extra over. Right, so meaning he wants to borrow money from you, so that's also it's acts of chesed, right? Even poor person, what does he lose? Absolutely nothing, right? He collects his money. So some people they put away from every paycheck partial payment that this set aside for rent money, for car payment, car insurance, all these things. So right, so meaning he would not need until the end of the month. Anyway, so that's he can lend the money to this person, which is not poor, but still it's a big chesed. So let me see how long is this section. Okay, we continue. Number 4, hired by intermediary. Right, so we spoke about it. Bal Tolin is violated only when employer himself hires the worker. If the worker is hired by a third party and not by employer himself, there is no Bal Tolin. According to some poskim, if the worker continues to work for the employer after the first payday with the employer's knowledge and consent, it is considered as employer himself confirmed the hire, and there is Bal Tolin. For example, if bakery owner hires some mashgiach to substitute for a day, he must make arrangement to pay him at the end of the day. Very interesting. Otherwise, he is a subject to Bal Tolin. Okay. However, if the owner asks, I'm I'm going to explain what does it mean, especially in this specific case. It's very interesting. It's not so simple. It is simple. Okay, so we'll explain. Beezrat Hashem. However, if the owner asks asks the steady mashgiach to hire a replacement, neither the baker or bakery owner nor agent mashgiach who hired him will be subject to Bal Tolin. Similarly, if the employment agency made an offer on behalf of the employer, there is no Bal Tolin on the first payday. Okay. However, should the employee continue his employment, according to some poskim, the employer will be subject to Bal Tolin for the subsequent payment. Note: in the instances that we discussed above, in this section, the focus was on the employer being exempt from the negative prohibition of Bal Tolin. Although the employer will be exempt from Bal Tolin, he will nevertheless lose the opportunity to fulfill positive mitzvah of paying on time. For example, if the worker was hired through the intermediary, although the employer will not be subject to Bal Tolin, he will not be able to fulfill the mitzvah. Okay, so let's try to review. Alright, so from the beginning, hired by intermediary. Bal Tolin is violated only when the employer hires the workers. Okay. If the worker is hired by a third party and not by employer himself, there is no Bal Tolin. Okay, so let's see. There is commentary. So meaning if this Bal Tolin, meaning late payment to the worker only when employer hired him directly. If through the third party, so a good example through the agency, right? And one worker brought another worker, right? That's a different story. Okay, so let's see. For example, he was hired by one of the employer's friends, one of children, but not his wife, or employees, etc. However, if the employer provided funds, but delegated the hiring, and the payment of the wages to a manager, the manager is responsible for paying on time. If he does not pay on time, he is subject to Bal Tolin. Similarly, if the one's wife hired workers for their house, even though she's technically hiring them on behalf of your husband, nevertheless, since she's in charge of the house, if the workers are not paid on time, she's subject to Bal Tolin. Okay, so that's a very practical examples. Let's go over them again. Okay, so again, for example, he was hired by employer's friends. Employer's friend. Okay. I'm not sure, but better example, I think, children. Right? Children say that they need something to be done in their home, but of course, father is going to pay, and they hire somebody. Okay. Right, or employees. So, or one employee brought another employee because this guy said, owner said that you have to move this heavy piece of equipment, and he said I would not be able to. It's so heavy. Okay, so I 3 people. Okay, no problem. So get 3 people. Okay, get another two people and move it. So I'm going to pay. So meaning this guy, employee, found another 2 people. They move this heavy piece of equipment. So, right, and if employer does not pay on time, so he's not going to transgress because he was not the one who hired. So they do not even know who employer is, for example. However, employer provides the funds that delegates the hiring and payment of the wages to a manager. So meaning he gives this employee, he said, no, we need to move this heavy equipment. He said, okay, get somebody, some people to help you. And they say, look, today they're going to charge me this and that. He said, no problem. Okay, here's the money. go hire them. So meaning in this case, this employee is in charge. So he's like he's the one like representative of the employer. The manager is responsible to paying on time. So meaning he's extension of the employer. So meaning the employer gave him all of the money. If he does not pay on time, he's a subject to Bal Tolin. So meaning the employee, right, that is going to move this equipment, or manager, because he's responsible for all of this now. Similarly, if one's wives hire the workers for the house, even though she's technically hiring them on behalf of your husband, right? But husband and wife, it's a different story, right? Nevertheless, she's in charge of the house. The workers are not paid on time. She's a subject to Bal Tolin. Yes, so she's on one hand it is representative, but on another hand she's not representative. She's actually like a separate person, right? She's a boss. She's the boss of the house in this sense, and if she does not pay on time, right, that's the problem, right? So the whole sentence again. For example, he was hired by the employee's friend, child, but not wife. There is no Bal Tolin, right? And it says the agent is also not subject Bal Tolin because it's simple, because agent he does not have money, and like he does not benefit. Maybe he does, but it was done like primarily for the employer. Continue. According to some poskim, if the worker continues to work for employer after the first pay day with employer's knowledge and consent, it is considered the employer himself confirmed the hire, and there is Bal Tolin. So until the first pay day, maybe if it's weekly pay or something. So meaning the worker, this employer knows that this guy is working for him, and he must pay him on time. Right? So very interesting. Very weird. So you cannot claim that he was hired from intermediary, right? Intermediary initially, but now he's continue working. So it's not like don't say it's without your knowledge. So a very good example. For example, a bakery owner hires a mashgiach to substitute for a day. He must make arrangement to pay him at the end of the day, otherwise he's subject to Bal Tolin. So sometimes this, how does it work? This mashgiach business, the agency, right? The rabbi, whoever is in charge of this company, or this what is it? The kashrus company. So they charge the whole amount, and then they pay to employees, meaning mashgiachs. But sometimes, I mean, they explain to me. I mean, I understand why they would do that. So they try to minimize their revenue, right? To minimize the paperwork and everything, and they say that to employer that you're going to pay him a salary, so you're going to pay him a check or whatever. And the rest, you're going to, let's say, this guy mashgiach has he's making, I don't know, like 60%, and 40% goes to the agency. Okay, so that's how it works. So the employer, the owner of bakery in this case, is going to pay the mashgiach, and the rest goes to the agency. Right? I heard about this setup. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's healthy. Because in the mind of this mashgiach, the way I explained to somebody, like he sees that this employer pays him money, so sometimes it's like he's under pressure to close his eyes or to look another way. But if he's not being paid anything from this employer, he's getting a check from his office, so it's totally different. So I'm working for you, I'm doing a job for the office, right, for my company, right, and then there is a business between you and them. So I mean, so when this owner of the restaurant or bakery pays directly, that's a little problem, or at least in my mind. But some people do it. Okay, that's so meaning there was no mashgiach, right, and they cannot operate without mashgiach, and this guy employer hires somebody for 1 day, so he has to pay him a salary, right? So because it was a substitute is only for 1 day or 2 days, whatever it was. Similarly, if the wife of the hired workers, just 1 second, I apologize, we are not on this, no, sorry. Otherwise Bal Tolin. However, if the worker asks the steady mashgiach to hire a replacement, for example, he said, I'm getting different job or something. So he said, please find for me somebody, and he found, and he promised him the salary. So neither bakery owner nor agent, meaning mashgiach, who hired him will be subject to Bal Tolin if the employer pays late. Okay, meaning that this mashgiach that is going away, he's he's only intermediary, and this employer never hired this new mashgiach directly, which just makes sense. Alright, so let's continue. Similarly, if the employment agency made an offer on behalf of employer, so that's usually the case, right? So they say, well, what the salary is going to be. Usually they have one-time like a commission or some like a service fee that they get from employer, right? So they give you exactly salary that you're going to make. Right, commentary. However, if the agency just referred to the employee, but it was the employer who actually discussed the terms and made the offer of employment, then there is a Bal Tolin. So just 1 second. So again, similarly, if the employment agency made an offer on behalf of employer, then there is no Bal Tolin on the first payday. So sometimes this the serious employment agency, they would have their tests, and they make sure that they screen all of the candidates, and then they offer the money based on their understanding. For example, the employer in the field where I used to work, they would say salary range in the same position, same position, from this amount to that amount. Sometimes it's more like 30% like a spread. Like I would say, like, are you serious? Or not, maybe not 30, but maybe like 20% spread. Like, what is the difference? Is it the two different jobs? No, the same job, but based on personal experience, based on their skills and stuff like that. All right, okay, so no problem. So sometimes a company does not want this headache deal with that, so they would give this task over to employment agency, and they would screen people. So meaning that based on the result of the test and based on the resume, they would say, we offer you on behalf of the company this and that. I don't know, I'm just throw any number, 50 based on. So companies say that the compensation from 50 to 67, right? So and they say the agency say, yeah, you qualify, but 50, right? We can pay you 50. Okay, no problem. No problem. So meaning they offer on behalf of the company. That's what I'm trying to say. But if they just screen and say, yeah, this guy is good, resume is good, we check background, we can check this and that, so there is no problem. So we're going to send for an interview, and then you discuss the salary with the employer. Then there is Bal Tolin. So it depends who actually discuss the salary. However, should the employee, just 1 second, did I read? However, if the agency just referred the employee, so maybe without any without discussing the money, but it was employer actually discussed the terms and made the offer of the employment, then it is Bal Tolin, right? Exactly as we explained. However, should the employee continue his employment according to some poskim, the employer will be subject Bal Tolin for all subsequent payments. Right. Not ordering service through the provider's secretary or assistant discussing application 9. Okay, so we're going to get to it. Application 9. No problem. So meaning is it intermediary or like she's a employee? She does what the boss says. Okay. So in the last part, and we stop. Note: in an instance when there that we discuss above in this section, focus was that employee being exempt from negative prohibition Bal Tolin. So meaning not to delay payment. So there are two separate mitzvahs: to pay on time and not to delay the payment. So one is positive, one is negative, right? So meaning in this chapter, it's not chapter, it's this subsection. We discuss all the situation when a person, the employer, would not violate the mitzvah, negative mitzvah, of paying late, right? But still he did not fulfill the mitzvah of paying on time. So two separate things. Okay, positive, right. So quickly again, although the employer will be exempt from Bal Tolin, he will nevertheless lose the opportunity to fulfill the positive mitzvah of paying on time. For example, if the worker was hired through the intermediary, right, although the employer will not be subject to Bal Tolin, he will not be fulfill the mitzvah, right? Fulfill the mitzvah, meaning paying on time. Okay, which makes sense. All right, so just quickly introducing next section, section C. To whom does Bal Tolin apply? Salaried employees, service provider, craftsmen, rentals. Okay, so let's leave it to the next time. Beezrat Hashem.